Welcome. If this is your first time to try this time of breathing and reflecting, or welcome back. Most of all, thank you for joining on this journey we have been navigating together. As I say frequently, this time with you anchors my week and gives me a very special time to anticipate. I've been thinking a lot this week about darkness, the darkness of the season, the darkness of loss, the darkness of illness, the darkness of fear. And the approach of Hanukkah, which comes to us this year, as all of our holidays have, in a slightly altered shape because of the restrictions of our time. Thus, Hanukkah seems to me to be pared down, simplified of its loveliest trappings, the concerts, the parties, the large gatherings of family and friends for gift exchanges, for latkes or suf ganiyot, the jelly donuts that they eat in Israel. But it gives us an opportunity to look more carefully at the bare bones of the holiday itself and what it has to teach us. In fact, Hanukkah is a minor holiday for the Jewish people. Even though it doesn't feel minor, it is minor, and thus has a thinner basis for celebration than our major observances of Passover, for example, or Sukkot. Hanukkah, first of all, commemorates a military victory in a fight for religious freedom, fought possibly for the first time in human history through guerrilla warfare. Judah Maccabee was a great guerrilla tactician. What we might consider a rather straightforward tale of right against wrong, the weak against the mighty, is somewhat more complicated than that, because the Jews themselves may have invited restrictions on their freedom through their own internecine battles for religious authority. When religious oppression came from the ruling Syrian Seleucids, it was in something of a pox on both your houses kind of attitude. Nevertheless, the Maccabees and their followers were heroic and won back their religious autonomy. Then we have the legend of the oil, which is a legend, a myth, superimposed upon the militaristic elements of Hanukkah. The rabbis were uncomfortable with the military might that the Maccabees displayed because they were now no longer in the ancient land of Judea, in the land of Israel, because they created this myth 500 years after the historical events took place. So it's a rather mixed bag from which we have created a beloved holiday, as well we should have, as we have used this observance to emphasize the ideals of freedom, justice, and the right of self-determination. Who can argue with these noble, meaningful, and resonant ideals for our lives and our world? And what more fitting symbol for our current circumstances than the power of light, a single light to dispel the darkness. And all of it is within a very human context of imperfectly realized goals that are ultimately short-lived and must be won again and again in succeeding generations. We are living at a time of fear and struggle where victory of any kind still seems far away. We are fighting both novel and ancient battles of inequity, discrimination, prejudice simultaneously. Perhaps we need the reminder and the inspiration of Hanukkah today more than ever, but a real Hanukkah of human proportions, a Hanukkah that consisted of compromised goals that are realized because they are compromised, but must be safely guarded and won again in every generation. I would share with you this brief story that I believe relates to all of these thoughts. and that I hope will provide a setting for our break to breathe. Students come to the rabbi wondering, what is a Jew? What is our mission in the world? Unsatisfied by his answers about God's commandments and Jewish law, they ask, excuse me, I just lost my place and I will get, they asked again, what is a Jew? What is our mission in the world? Finally, the rabbi answers, many years ago, before electricity, there was a person in every town who would light the street lamps with a lamp he carried at the end of a long pole. The tall lamps stood there ready on the street corners, waiting to be lit. Sometimes, however, the lamps are not as easily accessible. There are some lamps that stand in far forsaken places, in deserts or at sea. We need someone dedicated and caring to go out of his or her way to light even those lamps so that they may fulfill their purpose and illuminate the paths and the walkways. We, each of us, the rabbi went on to say, must be a lamp lighter, illuminating the world and helping others to find light. To be a Jew, then, is to be a lamp lighter. And that is the thought that I am holding on to during this time and during our holiday, in trying to find ways, even in our restricted environments, to light small lights of friendship, of connection, of generosity, of responsibility. And if we can do something every day, we can feel better about this dark time in which we are traveling together. So let us breathe. Let's take our meditative positions in whatever form those tend to be, in a good chair or on the floor or on pillows. People have any number of ways. Standing up. Sometimes I enjoy meditating, standing up. We are both at ease and attentive. We want to try not to fall asleep, although most people do when they really are comfortable doing their breathing in and out. We might place our hands gently in our laps. Most people who do this find that having their palms open and upwards is helpful, helps to release, helps to let go of some of what we hold on inside. I always close my eyes. I invite you to do so, or to softly gaze without a real focus. Oh, and take that first deep breath. Oh, and it might induce a yawn. It is gonna, for me, it is sort of, it's suggesting a yawn. That's a physiological response. Let's take it in as deep as we can let it go. As much air as we can comfortably breathe in, but with the intention to fill up. Oh, there it is. And let us even feel that for a moment, the fullness. The sensation, actually, for me, I don't know when the last time was, I took a really deep breath. And then we can let it go. Easily, gently. and even linger on the last second or two as it continues to leave our bodies. And before we take our next breath, we might even rest for a second. And then breathe in deeply, fully, healingly, unrestrainedly again. And let it go. Some people even blow out. At the end, or on the exhale rather. That can feel quite cathartic and make the next intake of breath even easier. The point, the purpose of this exercise is to focus just on the breath, just on being right here, right now, and of trying to let go of everything that happened before we sat down here, and let go of our concerns about finishing, doing, preparing that we have waiting for us when we conclude. We try to let go and live this second, this moment, this inhalation only, this exhalation only. Because this is the only time we can actually live right now. What we did 5 minutes ago is gone. What we will do 20 minutes from now, we can't do yet. It's not here. So let's just be here and breathe in. And if it is helpful, and breathe out again. We might breathe in a sense of light in whatever form that might take for you. The lighting of a match, the glow of a single candle, the brightly filled menorah when it is the 8th night, a starry sky, a sun-filled day, a favorite lamp, a favorite place, the light that plays there. Whatever image you wish, see if that might help as you breathe in. And with that light uppermost in our minds, we can breathe out a sense of darkness. We can breathe out the constriction that darkness seems to demand. We can breathe in the light and breathe out the dark. And if that works for you, it might make you even feel lighter. void on your breath, on the image, on the promise even of light, of warmth, of glow. Let us breathe out dark thoughts, dark feelings, dark impulses. Just for now, just for right now. Let's see how it feels this minute to see the light or feel the breath and release whatever darkness lurks inside of us, the tensions, the fears, the anxieties, the holdings on, the tightness. Let it go right now, in this moment. Take a few more breaths and luxuriate in the fullness, in the freedom. Feel your insides expand with intake. And feel them let go on the outtake, on the exhale. Luxuriate in the restorative power of just taking a breath. I would not have imagined that the dear poet Mary Oliver would speak to our holiday, which, by the way, begins this Thursday night. I believe it's the night of Thursday, December 10th. But I would share with you by way of our conclusion and as a blessing going forward into the week, these stunning insights from her poem, Poppies. The poppies send up their orange flares, swaying in the wind. Their congregations are a levitation of bright dust, of thin and lacy leaves. There isn't a place in this world that doesn't sooner or later drown in the indigos of darkness. But now, for a while, the roughage shines like a miracle as it floats above everything with its yellow hair. Of course, nothing stops the cold. Black, curved blade from hooking forward. Of course, loss is the great lesson. But I also say this, that light is an invitation to happiness. And that happiness, when it's done right, is a kind of holiness, palpable and redemptive. Inside the bright fields, touched by their rough and spongy gold, I am washed and washed in the river of earthly delight. And what are you going to do? What can you do about it? Deep blue night. The attraction of light. The holiness that comes from uplifting it and feeling it within and denying the dark its power. I wish a week in which you will do that, you can do that. You can see it happen. Be well, be strong. Happy Hanukkah, Chag Hanukkah Sameach. I think that's the way we try to say it. I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.